This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, and Medical Gear Outfitters.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 303, Trail Mater.
Tonight, Aaron turns a key, Jeremy gets lost in California, and Ben still has his old tires.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, the podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben. I'm here with my co-hosts, Aaron and Jeremy. And joining us later on tonight will be Rory Irish from the Trail Mater YouTube channel and Moab Motorsports.
The weekend review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off. Aaron, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Working on the show notes is what I've been up to. You caught me off guard there. Let's see. Well, I wasn't here last week because I was absolutely wiped. Last Monday was my first day back on the job, and it just took all of my energy. I literally came home and sat around for a little bit, then I climbed into bed before dinner. So I was just beat. So yeah, so I skipped out on everybody. I didn't die. I just was resting.
You sure?
I was resting in peace. So
Well, we thank you for not dying. You sound a lot better today.
Yes.
I feel like I'm like 95%. I
That's
feel
good.
I feel good. Yeah.
You survived
It
the
only it only took 4 weeks to get through the coof.
I mean, that at least proves it's real, right?
I had no doubt that it was real, but
No,
I
I
had
know.
my
I'm
doubts
right there
about
with
a lot of other parts of it.
yeah, I'm right there with you. But I've seen having seen people go through it and how bad it can be. It's like, oh, it actually can be pretty bad, or it can be really mild, or it can be almost non-existent in you. So
Yeah. Yep. So besides skipping out on the podcast, I got my Titan. I towed my Titan to my friend's shop in town. Flat towed it with a tow strap. I used one of those Harbor Freight ones with the metal hooks on the end, which are made
nice.
for towing.
Yeah.
And
Did you use a chain too?
no, but we broke that tow strap immediately. In fact, we didn't even make it to the end of my road before we broke it. It was frayed in some spots, and I anticipated that, and I had a brand new tow strap that I used, and that worked better. And I was glad that the tow strap broke, honestly, because the Titan doesn't run, so it the brakes aren't powered if it's not running. So you really have to stand on them. And I was towing it with my wife's new truck, and she would have been pretty pissed if my friend who was steering the Titan crashed in the back of it. So the other tow strap was almost twice as long. So that was it was a little harrowing. It felt like I was playing bumper cars every time the strap would get loose and then get tight again, like both. And it never was just like one and then the strap is taut. It took like 2 to 3 bangs before it would be straight again. And
What?
yeah,
Out of curiosity, why didn't you use like your Bubba rope?
because I anticipated that my strap would be drug on the ground,
Mm,
and this strap is a $30 Harbor Freight tow strap as opposed to $150 Bubba rope.
I get
So
that. It's just
yeah.
I've pulled someone with a Bubba rope,
Hmm.
and that it's less jerky, it's less violent.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, this was violent. For sure. So got it to the shop, and then the next day I didn't go to work because they didn't have any work for me to do that day, which was perfect. So I got to spend a couple hours on the Titan before we left to go out of town for the weekend, and tore the exhaust off. I pulled the drive shafts out. I couldn't get the main drive shaft bolts free where it bolted to the rear pumpkin, so I just sawzalled the dry shaft out of there. It was a damaged aluminum drive shaft, and it cut like butter, and
Are you
it
going to
would
use
have
your axle?
no, nope, no. I'm gonna keep mine, and then just pulled some miscellaneous stuff off of it, and then I decided to try to see if I could fire it up one more time. And I had my friend in the shop who owns the shop helping me, and we were just goofing around with it and trying some stuff. And um, he thinks it doesn't have spark. It's possible. I think that I want to double check that comment by grounding the spark plug really well, maybe getting something to ground it directly to the battery. He was touching it to aluminum on the block, but it had a lot of corrosion on it, so it might not have been getting a good ground. So I want to try that, and then I'm trying to figure out a way to find out if I have fuel pressure or not. So because there's only three things that it takes to run an engine, and that's spark, fuel, and compression. So if you have all three of those, you can have a running engine. Um, so it's a possibility that this engine might actually run. Yeah, you're right, Jeremy. Excited about that one?
So what? Then you'd have two engines?
I would probably just try to sell the spare one because I don't think I would sit on a $1,400 spare motor,
Yeah,
fifteen
but
hundred bucks, whatever I paid.
what was the mileage on the other one?
Actually, lower, 58,000 miles on the wrecked truck.
Oh, on your wrecked truck, it was lower,
Yeah,
not the one that got okay.
yeah, we had it backwards. So I think it was like 66 or 68,000 on the spare motor. So they're both really low mileage. But
And yeah, I'd
if I,
totally keep the
mhm.
wrecked truck if it runs.
And even if I can't get it run, I may roll the dice on it. I'll check the compression because the new truck or my Frontier is going to be providing the fuel and providing the spark. So, or providing the ECU that's going to tell it to give it to the spark. So, as long as I got good compression and everything looks good, I might just take a chance and roll the dice and put it in. So, because it's going to be a hassle to pull the two of them apart, the engine and the transmission, because both of those have to go into my truck. So it's going to be a hassle to pull them apart and then reconnect it to the other one. So
Well, I mean, you
fingers
could.
crossed.
It's easier, at least in my opinion, to get drop in an engine without the transmission.
Yeah, but you got to deal with making sure the tolerances are right on the
Yeah, no, I totally
right
get that.
between
I
the engine
agree.
and the transmission, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I think it probably yeah, it's definitely easier to pick up just an engine by itself, but I mean, I think especially where Aaron's going to be doing the swap, I think
We
they
got a
have
forklift.
all the stuff to make it go as smoothly as possible, dropping the whole thing.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at on the Titan project. I actually stopped by there on my way home from work today and just tried a couple more things to see if I could get it going, and it couldn't. So that's that. Yesterday, I got to go shoot out to 600 yards. That was phenomenal. I shot out to 600 yards with my 6.5 Creedmoor and my 308, and I shot out to 300 yards with 17 HMR. So I brought some guns out to a local's house who has a range and sighted in two of the guns that I shot, and then the 6.5 I just brought for fun, and it was it was so rewarding shooting it at 600 yards because I didn't want to adjust my scope. My scope was dialed in for 250, and I didn't want to mess with the dials because it doesn't have like a return to zero. The scope apparently isn't as fancy as I'd like it to be. So I didn't want to change my dials, so I just used the I use the box of bullets, and it tells you how much drop it is, and it goes out to 400 yards. So after 400 yards, I had to guess for 500 and 600 yards that I was shooting at and figure out my holdover. So that was a lot of fun. Shout out to 600 yards at the 600 yard. Oh yeah. So we got it up on the screen. The plate that's circled is a 20-inch gong at 600 yards. And just to the upper left of it at the 10 o'clock position is a 6-inch gong. So I put two hits on the 20-inch plate and I knew where I was hitting, so I did the holdover on the 6-inch plate, and I smacked it right dead center. So that was super cool. Besides that, I got a 3D printer. Here, I'll move my camera here a little bit. You can see my 3D printer. I got that put together yesterday.
Good, because I got something I need you to print for me.
Yes.
Well,
Ben, you're muted, Ben.
I said, is that an Ender version 2?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, I've been eyeballing one of those for a while now, and
It's a little puppy dog that I printed as a test print.
there you go.
So, yeah, super cute. So, yeah, I got the 3D printer put together. Oh, yeah, you're right, Rick. So apparently you've been listening. The 3D printer, I split the cost with my son. So, yeah, so he and I co-own the 3D printer, Rick. Yeah, thanks for correcting me on that. So he doesn't listen to the show, so it's okay. I can take all the credit for buying the printer. And then the last thing is that the polls for my shop are up. Super excited about that.
So what's
I had it,
your shop or your swap?
the swap.
By a
Swap will be
long
done
shot.
first. Yeah, by a long shot. Well, I have a deadline for Moab, which is mid-July, and so the shop needs to take a back seat. I'm going to do some stuff on the shop, and I'm going to get the concrete poured and things like that. But other than that, I'm not going crazy on the shop because I got to focus on the truck.
I think Moab in July is going to be a long shot.
Well, my backup plan, which my wife is okay with, is renting a Jeep. So
Yeah, that would work out well.
yeah, well, for the Jeep company, not for me.
I don't know. You'd probably be able to do more trails.
Ouch!
Lord.
Ouch!
Well,
But I'm gonna have Coy with me.
Joining us here in studio. This would probably be the guy that'd be able to come help you if you get stuck out there with your broken down Frontier, right?
Yeah. Well, Ben, what have you been up to?
Well, I did some camping. So like I mentioned, buying the teardrop trailer. I took it out. I used it. I had fun.
You can hardly see that little tiny setup out behind that big setup next to it.
Yeah. So I went camping with my buddy Pete, Peter Lang
Yep.
from Malt B Fab. He Malt By, whatever. Same
No,
difference.
Malt B. You said it right the first time.
Wow, damn!
We're so proud of you until you.
I was.
Yeah. So he actually bought a brand new Tundra, pictured there. It's a 20.
Okay.
And he's like, I want to test it out, and his wife and him and his wife were over at my house. We were having dinner, and we were like, let's go camping. You need to test out your truck. I'm buying this, or I just bought the trailer when they'd come over. And I was like, yeah, let's go camping. So we went up to Lake Cleelum and did a little camping. It was a nice little overnight trip, and got to test out our setups and see what I need to change up and add and all that fun stuff.
Very cool.
Got to test out my solar panel too. I was pretty happy. I bought a solar panel. I didn't get my solar setup complete, so I just used the Jackery, but it was dead. And in 3 hours, I touched it halfway and then topped it off the next day. So
That's awesome.
But I didn't have anything that needed power except for charging tablets and phones and all that. So yeah. Maybe I'll get one of those fancy ARB fridges one of these days.
You'll love it. You will absolutely love it.
Locker before fridges.
Yep.
Yes. Oh,
actually,
please.
that was something I noticed when towing up Snoqualmie Pass was I definitely need to re-gear.
Oh, I was like, you wouldn't use a locker to go up Snoqualmie Pass. I was a
Oh,
little concerned about where you're going with that.
actually, speaking of that, you got this was the night before. I got my tires mounted on Friday,
Mhm.
and I came home. I'm like, I need to get these bastards mounted. I'm going on a trip, and well, it looks like it's on there. My rotor doesn't clear. The caliper doesn't clear the steelies. You need a 1.5 inch spacer. So no dice, no dice at all. So yep, no wheels yet. I gotta wait for my new wheels to get here before I mount it. And they're on back order, so whenever they get there, they'll get there.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yep. Oh well. I'll just wait till my wheels explode while I'm driving down the road, and then I'm like, well, done with the back order. Time for some new ones. Or I'll just get non beadlock ones. I'll
No,
figure it
don't do that.
out. And just not drive my Forerunner for a while
Just
too.
just wait for the beadlocks.
Yep. But they're on back order. I'm kind of screwed.
You can wait.
Find some. Is there any other brand so you don't have to copy Jeremy?
Not that I get as good as a discount on. So yeah. Oh well. What about you there, Jeremy? Is that Jeep fixed yet? Are you on tons yet?
It is sitting on tons, and everything.
Yay.
The suspension's dialed in. It's ready to go. I'm still waiting on some drive shafts. They were supposed to be here today, but then I just checked right before the show, and they went from Henderson, Nevada to Diamond Bar, California. So not sure why they went south, but oh well. That might
End
not
up in
actually be south.
Texas and then be at your house the next day.
We'll
I've seen
see.
shipping like that.
Yeah, but it's FedEx, and I don't like FedEx. So
Mhm.
we'll see. Drive shaft should be coming in soon. Super stoked with the way Adams turns around drive shafts. I mean, literally, they advertise that they get like 98% of their axles shipped in 2 days, and they're not lying there. They were actually shipped in 2 days, and I kind of didn't think it was going to happen with all the COVID stuff and all the other things that I've been ordering recently and having long lead times. So I was super stoked that they actually shipped out in 2 days. I'm still waiting on the RAM. It's probably about they said 2 weeks when I ordered it, so I'm like at a week and a half right now, and then it'll ship. So give it another week. I ran the brake lines, so I had to reroute some of the brake lines in the rear for the for the RockShox anti-rock in the rear. And then I haven't had a chance to bleed all the brakes yet, but that'll be coming. I'm just going to go ahead and flush out the whole system and put in all new brake fluid, especially because it's been sitting open to the air for a while at the brake line. So I have no idea how much moisture that the brake fluid has absorbed at this point. I rerouted the e-brake cables. Uh, let's see. I mounted up my 40s, so those are good to go. ABS sensors, rear bump stops. And then I got the shock mounts welded onto the rear. So that's the Falcon skid plate shock mounts. So as I kind of talked about on the show last week, I couldn't get the shocks on with the stock shock mounts on the Pro Rocks, but so I had to cut those off and just weld something else on. So that's all done. Just waiting to do the final touches and piece everything back together.
Nice.
Did you mention that you sold your other tires?
Oh yeah, I did sell my other tires.
See,
I mean,
there's
they were
What are you
like
doing?
that
What
love
are you doing for a spare?
right now nothing. As soon as Milestar gets another 40 in stock, I'll be picking up another 40.
Okay.
And I picked up a new rear bumper, something to run the 40 on. I don't love the idea of throwing that 40 in the back, but I figure for if I'm going to be doing a lot of harder trails and harder rock crawling, I can always move. I could always take the bumper off take the spare off the bumper and throw it inside the vehicle because I normally don't have my family when I'm doing the hardcore stuff. So there's usually room in the back seat. But then those family camping trips are If we're going on a long distance trip, I don't want to be running without a spare completely, and I don't want to really run with it in the cab if I don't have to.
Yeah.
If I don't feel I need to take the weight off the back.
Well, let's introduce here Rory, the man, the myth, the legend, the owner of Trailmater, and the head boss in chief there at Moab Motorsports, right?
Yes, sir. That's where I'm at. I have no idea if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we hear
I
you.
am so ill prepared on all of this. It's not even funny.
Oh, dude, you're all good. We can hear you just fine. And,
Yep.
and
All right.
we got a comment here that you are true Moab. Met you back in the Steve Nance days, and always been there when needed. And I've seen some of your posts, man. You're crazy. You're out there busy, man.
He's got a point there. This is probably the longest I've sat still.
Well, hopefully
Yeah.
we can keep you down a little longer.
Yep. Well, we like to ask this question to all of our guests. Have you done anything off-road related in the past week or two?
In the past 20 minutes or in the past week or two?
It sounds like you
Yeah,
can't get
I've-
away. It sounds like you can't get away from it.
No, I'm basically off road every day.
Yep.
That's the
Oh,
life.
We envy you, man. We envy
And in
you.
Moab.
Yeah, and in Moab, which is awesome because that's like my favorite place to wheel. So
Awesome.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
Aaron, why don't you read that listener feedback?
Oh, you're gonna throw that up before the Patriot patch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I switched it
Yeah,
up. Sorry about that.
You did. You like to
Sure,
throw me under
no.
the bus is what's going on here.
Keep you on your toes, man.
Definitely. So listener feedback this week is titled Back on Track. Excuse me, I must be going through puberty. It's labeled Back on Track. So much better stuff. Sticking to the 4x4 content, thumbs up. Thanks for clarifying squirrel comment. It came off earlier really ugly, not funny. As you see, I'm a fan and continue to listen and will keep giving feedback. So I appreciate this guy for reaching back out or giving us more feedback about that. So
And
if
listening.
you've-
Just keep on
and
listening.
to continue listening. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, squirrels are definitely a problem in my area. So
Ground
I'm glad you're still listening. Ground squirrels, yes. I'm
Not
not
the
shooting
tree
them out of the
variety.
trees. Yeah, I'm
No,
not shooting them out of the trees.
Though Andy in Portland, he does have that tree squirrel problem.
He's got the tree squirrel problem. Yeah.
But he can't really shoot them in
I thought he had the airbox squirrel problem.
Yeah. So yeah, appreciate you writing in. If you recognize what you wrote, send us an email like we say earlier, and offroadpodcast@gmail.com, or connect to us through social media somehow, and we'll send you out an off-road podcast sticker. So no hard feelings. We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
And there it is. If you're watching on YouTube, the patch of the month. So it's here for. I always get this wrong. It's
Memorial Day. Yes.
Yep.
Memorial. So yeah, so it's it's a patch honoring all of the different services the U.S. Armed Forces. So defending land, air, sea, and space. And I'm seeing more and more people as they talk about all the branches, including the Space Force. So, which I think is absolutely hilarious, but it's got to start somewhere.
But it's funny is, I mean, I actually, I'm my sister-in-law's sister-in-law or her sister-in-law's brother-in-law is
Just say somebody you
Space
know.
Force. He's in the Space Force. He's officially
My
part of the branch.
sister-in-law's roommates, house cleaners, nephews, neighbors, dog care provider.
Yes, is officially a member of Space Force. So it's it's real. It's legit.
Yeah,
He got
no, it definitely is.
he got brought in from he was Army doing satellite stuff, and he knows people because they brought in a bunch of guys from the Army and the Air Force.
That makes
So-
sense. Yeah.
So we love all the people that serve, but I gotta ask, and I want you guys to write in and tell me if you've seen this yet or not. But I know they make all the branches make fun of each other. The air, they call the Air Force the Chair Force. I don't know what you'd call the Space Force, who hasn't actually done a mission yet, but I'd like to hear what you guys are doing, saying to make fun of the Space Force.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, if it makes us laugh, we'll send you an off-road podcast sticker.
Oh,
There you go.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Even to do it.
Sorry, I cut you off with that one. What?
I said even more encouragement to do it.
Absolutely.
The news is brought to you by PowerTank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
Well, the first article this week is the Volkswagen ID4 completes the Nora Mexican 1000. So that's pretty cool. It's the first production electric vehicle to enter the race, and they also completed it. So there were 64 out of 90 vehicles finished, which I thought was really high.
That is high.
But this is
the Nora is a lot easier than the Baja.
Yeah, so the Nora is a staged race. So you race in
Mhm.
stages, and so they're anywhere from 33 to 167 miles. But I mean this vehicle was mostly stock. The only thing that it had done to it was a off-road lift. They called it an off-road lift, so probably shocks and springs that are kind of tuned to the vehicle's weight, and a slight lift, probably bigger tires, I would assume. And then they had the interior stripped and kind of a race interior put in, so racing seats and the roll cage and all that stuff. But it's kind of cool that they finished. They were using a generator to charge it up between stages and also flat towing it between stages in order to use the regenerative braking ability to kind of
That's
charge it up.
clever.
So it was cool. I'm happy to see some things coming into it. Oh, I forgot to throw this in there. So it was actually Tanner Faust raced it.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
I wonder if
he does some pretty amazing races.
I wonder if you tow it backwards, if it generates more electricity than by pushing it forwards.
And then shoots forward.
Yeah.
That's not where I thought you were going with it. I thought you were going to say it would drain the battery.
Oh, don't tow these backwards. The battery will go down. You can only tow them forward.
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah.
That pulling
our
them
next-
charges them.
Yeah. Our next story is about the Rona and how it's affecting Ford and other companies as well. But apparently Ford's not getting computer chips, and there's a global computer chip shortage, and it's affecting F-150s and the Ford Edge. And so what they're doing is they're just building the trucks without the whatever computer it is that the chip goes into.
Well, as
And
soon
they're
as that
just
chip
set.
gets in there, slap it in and go, right?
Yep, that's the thought. So they are storing them in a back lot and things like that until they get them, and then they'll do that. And then I think it mentioned still doing a final quality control check on everything, which you'd want to do. You don't want to just slap it in and ship it out because who knows. But
The auto industry has been set back like 8 or 10 years.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
It's
I would actually rather them just not put a chip in it and put an older engine in it that you don't actually need all that stuff. And
Exactly.
that way.
Carbureted engine.
Sure, why not?
Might as well.
Yeah, well, you never know because these newer cars have so many different computers in them. Like they've got body control modules and airbag modules and transmissions and just all these different crazy things. So it could be a computer chip for the radio. It might not even be a computer chip for the engine.
Well, and there's been what is it? It was like a silicone shortage, and which was affecting some of the computer chips,
And
because
other things.
uh, and other things, and there, but like that was a problem with these security cameras I ordered for my house. I wanted this certain company, and their orders kept getting delayed. It got pushed out like 3 months because of
Wow.
the silicone shortage, and that was part of the materials they needed for completing these cameras.
I hooked up a hot tub for a guy this week, and he told us that when they delivered the hot tub to him, that the delivery guy told him if he bought a hot tub today, which was last week, that it would be delivered in 18 to 24 months.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
Well,
it's
yeah,
all the
I
industries.
I was told 4 months ago that it would take 3 months to get an Atlas.
Oh boy.
well, Jeremy, what about you and your Dana 60s? How late were they delayed?
3 months late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
So Rick,
and I've had customers, same deal, delay. I've had stuff sitting in Portland for a week, and they yell at me. I'm like, I've got other customers I got to deal with. There's nothing I can do about the post office and their delays, on top of
yeah.
other delays.
Well, that's the next thing that's hitting everything is shipping being so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place. But anyway, so it's not just Ford though. General Motors, Honda, Toyota, Nissan. I saw Volkswagen and another company is Fiat Chrysler. Everybody's having these computer chip shortages. So
I'm sure
yeah,
Tesla
that's
too.
I'm sure it affects them as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big deal. Well, did you guys hear that we're having a giveaway?
No, we are.
We are. We're celebrating our 300th episode, which we're on episode 303, and we are going to give away some pretty snazzy stuff. So we're going to give away a Warn VR Evo 10S winch, a 10-pound power tank with a package number. I guess it's package letter A, not number A. Medical Gear Outfitters Overlander first aid kit, a Warn Bluetooth hub for your winch, provided you have a Warn winch, and
No,
You can get it for other brands.
you can
that's
get it.
that's right.
You just
Yep,
got to
you're
let
right.
us know what winch you have when you
Yep.
win.
As long as you don't have the fancy platinum winch, because it has its own wireless device.
Yeah.
And then also a $250 Tread Lightly subscription, which comes with a lot of cool things. So make sure you check out our Facebook page where we've got it pinned, and you can find the link to our giveaway there. And it's probably in our other social media too.
Not Instagram yet. I've been lazy.
Oh, it'll be on Instagram tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yes, it will.
So Tyler wants to know if our giveaway includes snozberries. So we haven't had a sponsor come forward yet with snozberries, but
If
maybe
Tyler would
we'll
like
see.
to provide those, we will give them away.
Yeah.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, Rory, welcome to the show again. And we got to start this out with my favorite part is the Fast 5 facts. New or old vehicle?
Old.
Summer or winter camping?
Summer.
Rock, sand, snow, or mud?
Rocks.
Favorite vehicle brand?
Dodge.
And favorite tire?
BFG.
What was that?
BFG.
BF Goodrich.
Oh, BFG. Okay, BFG. Yeah. Yeah, right on. BFG. So, how did you get? Let's talk about you first before we talk about your company. How did you get started in off-roading?
Yes. um, yeah. Honestly, my family, I was born and raised in Moab,
Oh wow.
but my family was never really into the off-roading thing. So, yeah, right.
So you got to make up for all that lost time, then, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But I don't know. I had an interest in it all through high school, and my first truck was a 2-wheel drive, and that didn't last very long because I kept getting stuck. So I built a 4-wheel drive, and I've just been hooked ever since. But to get actually into the industry, I moved down here about 4.5 years ago to work for Steve Nance for M4O. And then I just fell in love with the industry and everything, and here I am.
So, what was your first vehicle that you took off road? So that 2-wheel drive pickup, and then what was the 4x4 that you built right after that?
Well, my very first vehicle was a 75 Dodge pickup, 2-wheel drive. So I hunted down and found a 4-wheel drive, 3/4 ton, and swapped all the parts over, swapped the motor and everything, and went with the 4-wheel drive, and that was my first ones.
That's a
That
good way
sounds
to go.
Yeah.
So, what are you driving nowadays?
A Dodge pickup.
You don't vary very much from that, do you?
I'm rocking a 2001 Dodge pickup with almost 600,000 miles on it.
Yeah, that generation goes forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the dash wears out and the interior wears out and things like that, but mechanically they seem to go forever. Do you have a most embarrassing moment on the trail you want to share with us?
Yeah,
Just pick
I
one.
got a good one.
Just pick one.
My most, yeah, I pick one, right? My most embarrassing recent moment was a couple years ago. I was recovering a guy out of the escalator and on Hell's Revenge, and I drove in there the back way, and I pulled up to him or back down the escalator to hook onto him, and was having trouble with the truck staying on the hill in gear. And then I was trying to pull him out, and it just wasn't pulling, and I was smoking the clutch and was struggling, and just nothing was working right. And then I realized I was in high range.
Why isn't this
Yeah,
working? Oh,
dum dum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I put it in low range and pulled him right out. And he's like, "Oh, that went easier there at the end." I was like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah. That's like forgetting to lock in your hubs or something.
Yeah. It's super good one.
So, to contrast that embarrassing moment, what was your biggest win on the trail?
That was kind of hard to nail down. I was kind of pondering that one. I think pulling the propane truck out of the ditch was probably like kind of, that one was kind of cool and fun. Because
So,
I went into it not. What's that?
oh, I was going to say, tell the listeners that whole story.
Well, I got a call 2 years ago during safari that a propane truck had slid off doing a delivery up on the LaSalle Mountains in the mud. And they had called every tow company, and everybody turned it down and wouldn't try it.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of stubborn like that. So I was like, sure, let's go see what we can do. And it took a lot of snatch blocks. But yeah, we got it pulled up out of there, back up onto the road, and pulled out. So that one was kind of like, that one was probably the one that I went into not sure if I could do.
How any guesstimate on how heavy that truck was?
No, not really. It was loaded.
Yeah.
It was headed up to do the delivery, so it was a fully loaded propane truck.
Was it like a big white one? Or no,
Yep.
Hold on. I think
So my
I have
guess would be a lot.
a lot.
Yeah. So probably 26,000 or more pounds.
Yeah, I bent my
Is that
Fif-
it picture right there?
That's a water
no,
truck.
that's a water truck, but same basic size. But yeah, I bent my 15,000-pound winch doing that one.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Was it a Warren?
Yes, it was.
Hey, got the
Yeah.
job done. That's what
I've
matters.
still got it. It still works. It just, when you spool it in, it wobbles.
Wow.
That's a
I've-
testament of strength right there.
I've asked my winch to do more than it should have also. I used to own an LMTV and I would get that stuck out on my farm and I would pull it out with my Nissan Frontier with a 10,000-pound winch and a snatch block. So, yep. they
It's
do it.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing the forces you can exert with a winch cable.
Yep.
So is there any place where's your favorite place to wheel?
Moab.
Is
Yeah.
it all of Moab or do you have
Yeah.
a particular trail system?
Actually, I just went to Sand Hollow for my first time a couple months ago with my buggy, and that was a whole lot of fun.
Nice. Is there any place that you want to go wheeling that you haven't?
Not that I can think of right offhand.
No.
I
Well,
wanted to do some of the trails in Arizona, but it just sounds hot saying it.
So the
So
guy that lives in Moab.
has most of your wheeling been open land? I'm not sure the right word, but like no trees around. So Moab is slick rock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of meandering through trees or anything. Is that something that would interest you at all? Is like rock
A
crawling
little
in the
bit. See,
Pacific Northwest or
I graduated and did most of my learning to drive and everything in Colorado.
oh, okay.
So yeah, so I've done a lot of up in the timber wheeling and mud and all that stuff. So
Gotcha.
Well, why don't we dive into your company? Tell us about Moab Motorsports.
Moab Motorsports is a repair and recovery shop. When I came down here working for Steve Nance with M40, and then he decided to shut down and kind of move down to St. George area. So I bought his equipment and inventory and started my own shop and kind of took over for that. Because I used the off-road shop, like applying for that job, it was kind of my way back home to come back to Moab and everything. And so I didn't know what to do when Steve decided to start or said he was going to shut down the shop. I had no idea what to do. And so I juggled a couple things and made a couple deals with some devils and decided to start my own shop. And I've had a blast. It's been totally a pain in the butt, like any business is, but it's been great. And it's so much fun. Like I said, I really enjoy helping people, and it's a lot of fun. I started building the tow truck when I worked for Steve, and it was insanely ugly at the time. And so he didn't mind if I did recoveries, but he kind of didn't want M40 associated with it because the truck was just hideous. I totally understand his reasoning, but and then when I started doing more work with it, and then when I bought the shop, I kind of had, because I bought the parts and the equipment and everything, and so I had access to the used parts department and just this whole supply of used parts. And I was like, hey, I could use this and I could use that, and just started adding to the truck, and then it kind of went out of control. But in a good way, I think.
So you alluded to a tow truck. Is that Trailmater that you're referring to?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
can you
it's
give
the
us,
only one I've had thus far.
okay, can you give us a kind of a rundown of what that truck is and what you've done to it?
Well, it's an 82 Chevy pickup. It's a true 1-ton. Everybody kind of assumes it's a half-ton or something, but it's an actual 1-ton truck. And then I actually did a bunch of the work to it and shortened it and everything. And as a rock crawler, I built it for my buddy to be a rock crawler. And then we used a bunch of my parts to build it for him. And then he decided to get out of the sport. So I bought it back from him. And then I put a small pole on the back to like use just as a pole to move motors and axles around the yard.
Yeah.
And then I brought it back to Moab with me when I moved back to Moab, and everybody seen it and was like, is that an off-road tow truck? And I was like, well, no. I guess it could be.
It is now.
Yeah, and I used to drive a winch truck in the oil field, and that's where a lot of my ideas for the truck came from.
Oh, okay.
It's best described as unique for sure. I got a picture here up on the screen. They'll be in the show notes. It's a dually. I like as like I think of that. I'm like, how's that work off road? Does that work pretty well? You get that enough extra traction with that second set of wheels back there?
It works insanely well. Like, I've experienced dualies being horrible off road, and everybody tells me that they're horrible off road. And I don't know what it is about that truck. I don't know why it works as well as it does. But I mean, most of the time when I'm driving it, I run most of the trails in 2-wheel drive.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Would you call that 4-wheel drive though?
Right. No, I say that a lot. I actually, like I said, I ran Hell's Gate Sunday in 2-wheel drive.
Wow. That's definitely a testament to the amount of traction you're getting out of that.
Yeah, well, and it's definitely 2-wheel because the two outers are the only ones touching.
So, what do you do on your YouTube channel?
Horrible.
I mean, like, what is the main content?
Well, like I said, I try to get some videos of doing recoveries and stuff like that. But that's back when she was new. That picture.
Yeah, it's on single rear tire on that photo.
Single and 16 inches wide. So the old boggers. But I mean, I try to get videos and stuff, but I mean, I do everything for my YouTube channel on my phone like I'm doing this. I mean, everything's done on my phone. I shoot the videos and then I try to edit them and make horrible little videos that I put on YouTube. and I mean, everybody tells me, get some GoPros. and you just need this, and then you just need somebody to follow you along, and then you just need somebody, and you just need. But going out on a lot of these recoveries, I mean, I'm heading out into Pritchett Canyon and out here and all hours of day and night, and I can't just have somebody follow me along with a video camera.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And so it's hard to get footage, and it's hard to get good footage. And so I mostly do it just for the fun of it, because I do like to get some videos of it. Like my newest one I just posted, I think my daughter shot most of it for me.
well,
Nice.
I imagine that also has somewhat of a safety factor, you know, an extra body out there, especially when you've got
Yeah,
wheels spinning and all that.
well, a lot of these trails are, I mean, they're a struggle to drive anyway. So then you've got to take somebody that has a good enough rig that you trust them and their rig, that you don't have to then babysit them. So yeah, it does make it a pain. Was I echoing there?
No,
Yeah.
I think it was mine causing it. So, what's the craziest recovery you've been on?
What's that?
What's the craziest recovery you have been on?
Craziest. I don't know about craziest. The hardest, probably, and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this one, but whatever. Probably digging the Diesel brothers out of Cane Creek.
Yeah.
That was
What happened there?
Well, they decided they built a couple rigs on their show and then decided to race them through Cane Creek,
Mm-hmm.
and neither one of them made it out. So I got the call to go in and get them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of happens. I mean, everybody has a bad day, right? And
Well, yeah. I mean, well, and like I said, I had to go in and get the first rig, and they wanted the first rig out because it was the most expensive. So we went in there and got it, and almost out, I blew low range out of my truck.
Oh no.
So we used the winches, we got it up, we got it out of there, we got it back to the shop. So then, because I don't have a backup wrecker, I pulled it in the shop. I worked all night, pulled the transfer case, rebuilt the transfer case, put it back in, and we went back in the next morning and got the second rig.
Oh my goodness.
you're hardcore.
That is
Well, we had to
hardcore.
have them out so that no one's seen them broken, so that then they could do their show.
Of course.
So
Was that actually a concern they had?
yeah. I guess. I mean, I only ever talked to the production crew. I never met anybody for the show.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, I was a little yeah. Me being me, I always get myself in trouble, and so I'm cool with it, and I'm used to it by now. But well, it was funny because I got an attitude about it, and they were like, "Well, you're just mad that we didn't meet you or we didn't do something." And I was like, "Well, no, I've just always met my customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the people show up and talk to me, and they kind of it was kind of like they broke, they got mad, they left and told the production crew figure it out. So it was kind of like they just left trash in the desert and was like, you pick it up."
That's weird.
That
Kind of put a sour taste in my mouth about the whole situation,
Gotcha.
along with it taking 3 months to get paid. But
So maybe we should move on here. Do you have like an easiest recovery that
the
you've ever done?
easiest,
was it this one?
That one was pretty close to the easiest. That was probably the quickest service call.
I didn't realize that one happened in Moab, and I didn't realize you went out on that one.
Yeah, yeah. That's my building. That's my parking lot.
That's hilarious.
How did this happen? I'm curious about this because we shared this on our
So
Facebook group.
just two spaces over from that, there's a vehicle parked there. And he was sitting further down on the parking lot and had been working on his laptop or whatever, and he pulled around the vehicle, and that light pole has already been knocked over before. So it's just that big red concrete ballard. And he came around the vehicle not seeing that, and it was kind of in his blind spot. And then all of a sudden, the front end of the truck went in the air, and he landed on that.
Jeez.
So he had no idea what he'd hit or anything, and he was actually pretty mad at himself. Of course, I had to throw in some comments and be like, "So, even mall crawling is too much for you?"
Yes. Yes. Oh,
that's
yeah.
great.
I love
Great.
it.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, he was laughing about it, and he was starting to feel, like, oh crud. But I just picked him up and then went backwards and set him down. But it was rather entertaining. But he's like, "What are you going to charge me for this?" And I was like, "I'm not going to charge you. Just be on the lookout for the pictures."
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
That we shared that on our Facebook group. And someone was like, you guys need to get that tow truck on. And I was like, oh, that shouldn't be too hard to track him down, considering it came from his Facebook page.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny because a customer of mine came in and was like, "What happened in the parking lot?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "No, there's a Toyota like parked on the concrete thing." And I'm like, "No, what? No, there's not." And sure enough, we walked out there, and I was like, I had no words.
Smooth move, X-Lax.
Well, I'll tell you what, them skid plates on that thing did a great job.
Yeah,
They did exactly what they were designed to do, and I was pretty impressed with them.
Are those RCI? I can't see.
It looks like
I
the
don't
front one
think they're
says
RCIs.
Looks like it says
Yeah,
RSG, but
Yeah.
I don't
Good
know.
skid plates. Good build.
It's Toyota. Thousands of people make parts for them.
Yep.
So, in that story, you mentioned the customer asking what it was going to cost. So that's a really good segue. So, what does it cost to have you come out and rescue someone?
Well, with my truck, I can't really charge like a normal tow company charges by the mile. And that's a little hard for me to charge by because like Pritchett Canyon is 4 miles long.
Yeah.
And can take 4 to 6 hours to do. So I charge by the hour, and I have a rate. I have a rate of $150 an hour to recover or repair, and $200 an hour if I have to carry you out. But I'm pretty flexible on those. I work with people. Like if it's mostly just driving out to get somebody, I'll cut them a break. I mean, or if I go out there and we get them most of the way out, and then I just got to pick them up and carry them for a little bit or help out, then I cut them a break. I'm definitely not in this to make millions because it's not going to happen.
Well, it probably makes people want to come to you just by that fact right there alone. It's you're
Well,
not.
it's one of those things. I mean, I grew up doing this, and I never had all the best parts and all the money to do it. So I've been on the broken end of it and scrambling, trying to figure out how to get out of there. So when you can show up and help somebody and make their day go a little bit better, especially, almost everybody that shows up here is on vacation. They're just trying to have a good time. So if I show up, it's usually not a good time.
Yeah, I've being a guy that breaks down a lot, as my friends will let you know. I at the same time I love going out on those recoveries and totally get that. So what is the most common preventable break that ruins a trip?
For which vehicle?
Let's start with Jeeps.
Okay, Jeeps, um, axle shafts, rear axle shafts,
All right, Jeep guys.
followed closely by steering.
All right, Jeep guys. There's your spare parts to carry to save you a visit from Trailmater. Toyotas.
Ball joints and steering.
Oh yes, Ben knows all about that, and he's not even going to Moab.
Yep, I know all about that. Those I also loose bolts. Nissans.
Well, Nissans. I don't get a whole lot of Nissans, unless they just fell off the road.
Is that because there's a lack of people wheeling them?
Stop it,
A little
Ben.
bit.
Let me bask in that. Let me bask in that win.
What about side by sides?
Side by sides are steering and front suspension.
And then I'll just generalize American trucks, because I mean they're all pretty similar with their parts for the most part, aren't they?
Full size trucks.
Well, here, let me bruise Ford's ego with their new Bronco. IFS sucks for off road.
As a Toyota
I don't care whether it's a full size truck or a Toyota mini truck. IFS sucks.
So what's breaking the ball joints and steering on IFS?
Yeah, that's most. I had to carry a rig off of the White Rim Trail. It was a 3/4 ton 4-door short bed Chevy. One of the, what the heck was that? 03 when they did the Quadra steer. With the rear steering that never worked.
Yeah,
Correct. Yes.
dealt with those.
Yep.
Yeah, they're redoing it again with the Hummer, because it worked so well last time. Let's try it again.
Yes. Yeah.
I get a chuckle out of auto manufacturers, because they're redoing their ideas. It's like the new JL with the disconnect front axle. They did that in the 90s with the Cherokees, and they all broke and fell apart.
Well, haven't we been seeing that with the JLs too? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the big selling features that Dynatrack has been promoting about their replacement 44 axles. You don't have the disconnect.
The fad delete.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how they changed that.
What vehicle do you get the most call outs for? Is it going to be Jeep because they're probably the most common out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the Jeep capital of the world, so yeah, Jeeps are definitely the most that you go get.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is it breaking parts or overconfident drivers?
Yes. It's a whole lot of both on that. I gotta be honest on that.
So are there any trails out there that you haven't had to go recover somebody on yet?
Yeah, there's a few. I've never gone out to 7 Mile Rim.
Okay, so put that on the list as a place to go.
Right.
I probably won't break there.
I think most of it is like, if it's that easy of a trail, you can probably limp off.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been on about every trail to get something at some point. Which rear steer was a horrible idea on my part. That was a bad place to take my tow truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the trail you get called out to the most often?
Probably Hell's Revenge. Hell's Revenge is probably the most trafficked trail.
Mm.
So that's probably where I get the most calls from.
Any specific obstacle or just the trail in general, multiple spots?
Just the trail in general. And fins and things is quite a bit. And everybody's like, well, it was so easy, it's such an easy trail. I don't understand why it broke. And I'm like, well, what'd you do yesterday? Oh, well, yesterday we were on Pritchett. That's probably where you broke it.
Yeah. So, how often are you getting called out to go on recovery missions?
It's getting pretty close to every day.
Mm.
Like I didn't go out today, but I went out Saturday and Sunday. Thursday, Friday was a repair day on the truck because I broke the shaft. But yeah, I mean, it works out. With the days that I go out twice, it averages out to almost every day.
Wow. Does that affect your business at all because you're trying to run a shop?
It does. I finally got a front desk person that I trust, so now the shop can operate without me here. And that has freed me up quite a bit to focus on recoveries. And I don't know, it's working out pretty well in that aspect. I've got a couple mechanics and then my front desk guy. So yeah, that's what happens to a Dana 80.
So
Dana
I
80?
you
Yeah.
you posted some comments on this break, and you mentioned about something to not keep driving on it or something of that sort.
About what?
About not to keep on driving on it when you break something.
Well, I tell a lot of people because when you break an axle shaft, you almost always break it in by the splines on a factory shaft. And if you keep driving on it, because do you still have the picture of the shaft? Yeah, that one right there. So those chunks that go up the length of it there, they have to go somewhere.
Yep.
And they usually just sit in there and grind on each other. And the carrier, I wish I'd have got a picture of the carrier, but you see the bearing on the other picture, how it exploded.
Yep.
It just sat and ate on the inside of that where that bearing rides, and that's the carrier for the spider gears and everything. So it ruined basically my carrier.
It just multiplied the damage.
Yeah, we've had them. It's damaged. I've seen it damage the factory Jeep lockers and tear up an ARB pretty good. A few ARBs I've seen tear up from driving on the shaft. And that's what I tell people a lot is like, stop where you're at if you broke it and don't drive it. Because if you drive it, you're going to, and they're like, well, the tire's not going anywhere, so we think it's fine. And then it's like, all right, well, you know best. I'll see you in a few. And then we spend a few hours trying to repair and grind and fix what gets torn up. And like I said, I knew better. I heard it when I broke it, and I got out and I locked the hubs in and kept driving in 3-wheel. And it wasn't until we were on the way out, we were climbing the Gold Bar waterfall when I was pulling him up. And I have headsets that I can talk with the person I'm pulling. And he goes, your back tire's not turning. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's because I broke an axle shaft earlier. And he was like, what? I was like, well, I'm on a job, so I can't really just say, oh, I broke. Let's go home. Like, you're paying me, so we're here to do a job. So we do a job. So now I ordered a new locker and new axle shafts for next week.
Yeah. So recently you went on a run with Bleep and Jeep. What happened with that one, and is that why they brought you along in the first place?
No, actually, I met Matt with Matt's Off Road Recovery down in Sand Hollow, and he told me that he was coming up. They were coming up for safari. He's like, "I'd like to get out on the trails with you," and I was like, "Well, I mean, safari's our busiest week, so I don't know how much wheeling I'll get to do." And me and my girlfriend were actually headed up to Hell's Revenge to run for the day, and they passed us. And I said, "Well, where are you going?" And he goes, "Well, the line's too long, so we're going to go run Metal Masher. You want to go?" Sure.
Sure.
And like I said, I want to take my buggy, but nobody wants to see the buggy.
It's not as cool as the trail
So
meter.
I took the tow truck and we went out there wheeling around, and it was Matt's first time with the Corvair out there. And so that was a lot of fun. And I didn't know that Bleep and Jeep and those guys were going to be there. And I kind of felt weird at first. I was like, "Yeah, there's the old buggy." I was like, "Well, I don't want to, I don't want to get in the way of your guys' filming or whatever." And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 we'd love to have you along." And they're super cool, really cool guys. And so it was just a fun day of it was like right before Safari kicked off. So it just worked out.
And they ended up breaking something on their buggy. Can you kind of talk about what happened there?
Yeah, Colt's power steering went out. His power steering pump went out, and they could drive it, but they were kind of doing the whole, "You want to carry it out?" And I was like, "Sure." And they were like, "Well, you could carry it for a little while and we could just get some footage of it." And I was like, "All right." And I picked it up and we were moving and we went for a little while. And I was like, "Well, do you want to unhook it?" And they're like, "No, this is great. It rides better than when we're driving it." Because when I pick up a rig, when I pick up a rig, the rear of the truck is on airbags. So it's usually actually smoother for the person I'm pulling than it is for me.
Sure. Yep.
Oh, that's great.
So it was, like I said, it was a lot of fun, and I kept hearing them laughing and stuff, and I'd look back and they were playing with the steering wheel and yanking it off and acting like they were sleeping, and they were just having a great time. So
So how can people find you if they need a tow or need a rig worked on, and or just want to check out your social media?
Moab Motorsports on Facebook, Moab Motorsports 79 on Instagram, and then Trailmater on YouTube. And then everything on Facebook has the shop number and all that. And the shop number has a voicemail that leaves you my cell phone number for after hour emergencies or recovery, which does not include filling up your power tank on the weekend.
There's a story there, apparently.
Oh, we've got to hear that story, please.
I get calls all year long on a Sunday on my personal cell phone for, "I need my power tank filled at 8:30 at night."
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
And presently we're the only ones in town that do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get yelled at by a lot of overlanders.
geez, go. I mean, let's just use Warren's phrase here. Go prepared, and
Yep.
I mean, geez.
Well, like I said, I mean,
Backup.
I tell everybody, I'm like, "You don't have a backup compressor?" "Well, no, I have a power tank." Well, they run out, right?
Yeah,
Like, they're amazing. I love the power tank. It fills up a tire great. I love everything about it. But what happens when it runs out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love my power tank. I have a crappy backup just in case.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have to work well. It just has to work.
Right.
Yep.
Of course,
Yeah,
I get a chuckle out of everybody that, and it's all of them, the Jeepers, the Toyota guys, everything. I love it with the airing down in the morning, running the trail, and then airing back up to drive to town. Because they went to 20 psi, so they need to go back to 30 psi to drive on the road. I'm like, you really don't need to.
No.
No.
Whatever makes them feel good, though.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it takes all kinds, and it's awesome. They're out doing it, so I don't care how they do it, as long as they're respectful and stay on the trail. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in excuse me, in mid-July, I'll be down in Moab for 4 to 5 days. So I'm hoping Jeremy still hasn't committed. I'm hoping he can make it, and we've got a friend of the show coming with us down there. So looking forward to it. I hope I don't have to call you, but maybe we'll swing by the shop and say hi. Yeah, knock on wood.
I hope so. Like I said, I enjoy everybody swinging by and saying hi.
Yeah,
Don't always have to spend money.
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. Tyler here in the comments says that last time he was in town for Gone Moab, which is a Nissan event. I think it's the week before or the week after Easter Jeep Safari. Week after Easter Jeep Safari. Okay. But it says
Yeah.
they aired down to 8 psi all week and drove around town with no issues at 8 psi. So, yeah, not a big deal. You're not driving on the freeway.
Yeah.
Oh man, Rory, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I really appreciate you coming from taking time out of your day to come on the show and sharing.
No, this was super awesome.
Later. I hope I get down to Moab soon. I was supposed to be going here in June, June, somewhere in there, and we had to delay that trip yet again. My wife and her plans. We keep delaying my stuff, my fun stuff. I'll get there one day. One day, I swear. So yeah, thanks for
Well,
coming.
we'll be here somewhere.
You'll be there somewhere, and I really hope I get to meet you and not have to pay to meet you.
Well, knowing Ben, he'll pay to meet you twice.
There's a good
He'll
chance.
pay to meet you twice.
Yeah, it might be twice. So yeah,
Especially if you go there by yourself and don't go with a group of folks.
oh, see, I know someone in town now, so I might be able to find a guy.
There you go. Well, we want to thank everyone who listens to us weekly and to those who watch us live on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and all the other Facebooks. And recently we just added another one called Periscope. So I don't know what that's about. That's a new one to me. But we appreciate you guys tuning in and share us with your friends. And I love this. Thanks, Rick. That's a great comment. Yeah, Ben, just send him some money now. That way you got him on retainer. He could just come out and get you whenever.
There you go. Just get a deposit.
Yep. Yeah. And he could come fill up your power tank Sunday night. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, we really appreciate all our listeners, and make sure you're sharing us with your friends. Help us grow, and God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening.
Rory,
Ben bought brand new tires, and he's still driving on used tires.
and Rory, if Ben's out there by himself, charge him double.